Picture this. Right in proud Pennsylvania, the birthplace of American liberty, whole blocks turn into dead zones once the clock strikes 10 at night. Past the shining halls of Philadelphia, beyond the famous campuses and the statues packed with tourists, you find streets that officers whisper about yet never enter. The image of a bustling state has cracked wide open. All that remains are heaps of trash, patchwork tents, and the blank stares of neighbors who once clocked in for 9 to 5 like the rest of us. The safety net and even basic medical help have vanished, leaving a community in free fall at the very heart of the old cradle of democracy. Today we head into that darkness. We will pull back the curtain on Pennsylvania's growing homeless disaster. And believe me, the shock does not end here. Make it to part 4, and the pictures may follow you into your dreams. For generations, the Keystone State glowed as a symbol of working pride. In Bethlehem, Erie, and Pittsburgh, the oven stayed hot through the night. Whistles blew at dawn, and family dinners felt certain. People left pricey New Jersey or the packed cities of the Northeast to chase hope in Pennsylvania. With rough hands, long shifts, and faith in the American promise, they believed that hard work meant a roof, steady pay, and a future. That belief shaped the region for decades. Then the gears slowed. Factories shut down. Paychecks froze while rents blasted upward, turning housing into a prize only a few could afford. The dream splintered, and numbers prove it. More than 14,000 people in this state no longer share one solid address, and the count keeps climbing, fast and quiet, especially after the pandemic. Walk the streets of Philadelphia today, and rows of blue tarps stretch block after block. Plastic sheets, cardboard, and old coats linked together, trying to copy what a home once felt like. In daylight, people hide from freezing wind or blistering sun. At night, they curl in doorways, praying no one forces them out. Yet these tents only reveal a slice of the misery. Women, children, and elders drift through hidden homelessness. They do not sleep on sidewalks or pitch tents in the park, yet they have no real door key. Some crash on a friend's sofa. Others park worn-out campers along quiet curbs. A luckier few scrape rent for a single rotting room, hoping to hold on one more week. On paper, the rules say they're not homeless. That small twist in wording locks them out of help. They slip deeper into the shadows where the ones in greatest need are the easiest to overlook. No home, no aid, no exit. The spiral drags them down day after day. So how many more must bunk under a bridge before we face this storm? How many winters must crush shattered dreams in Pennsylvania before anyone admits the scale of the fall? Think zombies live only on late-night screens? Step into Kensington. This slice of Philadelphia looks like a living graveyard. Bodies move, lungs breathe, yet hope has gone silent. Residents stop calling a neighborhood. It feels like a wasteland frozen in time. Thin figures sit on cold pavement, eyes dull, movements repeating in slow loops. Many locals say it feels like stumbling into a land of the living dead. Those wanderers did not wish for this life. No child imagined sleeping on a sidewalk or begging for one warm meal. A single blow can tip someone over the edge. A lost job, an eviction, the final friend who cannot help anymore. Soon every door slams shut and the chance to restart slips away. What hurts even more is how the wider world looks at them. To many, they turn into walking warnings, or worse, trash to be swept aside. Some spots install benches with bars that block lying down, scatter sharp stones under bridges, or blast harsh sounds all night just to drive people away. Yet pushing them out does not make them vanish. They remain, growing in number, sinking deeper into despair. And the real chill is not simply that they live like this, but that we have grown numb to the sight. We call them zombies. We shake our heads and move on. But if we glide past without a glance, if we dodge their eyes as if their pain might stain us, then who is truly hollow? When indifference eats away at compassion, both sides lose humanity. Maybe those of us with 4 walls are the ones drifting into a zombie state, just with nicer beds. So tell me, who are the real living dead? The souls shivering beneath the bridge, or the citizens who stop feeling another person's ache? We must stare into their faces and find our own reflection before the last spark of empathy burns out. City services retreat one budget cut at a time. Once reliable garbage pickup slows to a crawl, streetlights break and stay dark, and patrol cars circle wide around entire blocks. Residents who remain indoors feel like survivors inside a shrinking safe zone. They double-lock doors, avoid windows, and phone for help that never arrives. This slow retreat signals to everyone outside that they have been left behind. Health dangers rise right beside the tents. Without running water or toilets, disease spreads fast. Outbreaks of hepatitis and skin infections flare in crowded camps, then leap to nearby clinics already stretched thin. Doctors beg for mobile showers and vaccination drives, yet funds keep drying up. The longer people are forced to live rough, the harder and pricier it becomes to heal them. Shelters try to answer the call, but space is limited. On freezing nights, staff post signs at dusk that read, "No beds left." Dozens wait anyway, huddling at the door while wind cuts through thin jackets. When capacity maxes out some shelters hand, each person a blanket and point toward an overpass. Volunteers drive aging vans offering soup and socks, but they admit they are running on fumes. Lawmakers argue over numbers while lives tick away. Debates rage about building affordable units, boosting mental health care, or adding tiny home villages. Yet, blueprints often stall behind zoning fights, and not in my backyard protests. Every month of delay pushes more families onto the street. Meanwhile, rental ads show prices that swallow half a paycheck and still demand spotless credit. Business leaders warn that visible poverty scares tourists and investors. Some push for heavier policing during big events like sports games or parades. Cleanup crews sweep tents a day before cameras arrive, only for the camps to pop up again hours after the spotlight moves on. These quick fixes hide symptoms, but never touch the cause. Experts say the crisis is a slow-moving natural disaster. Just like a flood or wildfire, it destroys property, strains hospitals, and breaks up families. Yet unlike storms, this disaster is man-made, built from policy gaps and shrinking wages. Until leaders treat housing as critical infrastructure rather than a luxury product, the damage will keep spreading from block to block. Imagine stepping off the train in Kensington, Pennsylvania, and wondering if you just entered another dimension. In full daylight, dozens of men and women drift down the sidewalk. They wobble as if gravity has turned uncertain. A few crouch beside gutter water, heads hanging, while others sprawl under the bridge, eyes empty, pulled far away from the rhythm of normal days. Every one of them was once a kid who dreamt about something bright. Each one had parents, classmates, maybe a little league photo tucked in an attic. Today they shuffle like ghosts through a place the locals whisper about as the lost land. Secrecy broke a long time ago. What polite society once had now unfolds on every corner. Patrol cars roll past without stopping. Neighbors throw up their hands. The deepest chill comes from the hush that settles over the streets like thick fog. A woman who buried her sister right here whispered, "Here someone falls every single day." During the last holiday stretch, Alone City records counted 50 violent clashes and 11 serious injuries. Officers flashed lights for an hour, then drove away, and within minutes life snapped back to the same bleak script, like a house scrubbed clean, yet forever stained by darkness. People seeking a scrap of safety huddle under bridges or squeeze into narrow alleys. They call these spots their own little rooms because every other door has slammed shut. Outsiders rarely venture in, and insiders have nowhere to go out. The breaking point is not only the harm they do to themselves. It is also the way tragedy feels routine. A man dropped in the center of the road from an overdose. Paramedics shocked him twice, dragged him back from the edge, and he still limped off to repeat the spiral. The medic sighed. We witness that every day. No gratitude, only anger of being dragged back into pain. Nobody here signed up for ruin. Most carry raw wounds from loss or years of silent hurt. They mastered only one lesson: short escapes. Some avoid family not from lack of love, but from fear their collapse will scar those they cherish. What they need is not louder blame. They need basics this rich country promised. Mental health aid, a bed that locks rain out, one person who still believes they are worthy of life. Yet systems look away. Sufferers are pushed beyond the edge of town, out of budgets, out of meeting agendas. Kensington is more than a local problem. It is a cracked mirror showing the gap inside modern America. When housing support, healthcare, and plain kindness fail for too long, missing places like this appear until a city no longer bothers to look. Picture officers in heavy gear pausing at the corner, then choosing to stay back. That decision is now routine. There are blocks where even a SWAT team hesitates, not for lack of armor, but because the badge no longer guarantees safe exit. When authority retreats, the vacuum howls. Public programs freeze. Shelter beds run out by twilight. Meal lines wrap around 2 streets. Counseling offices close early because grants vanished. Forms for housing help are so thick and slow that tired people give up halfway. Homeowners nearby file plea after plea. Many letters land on desks, grow cold, and then slide into archives. Leaders treat the scene like an unavoidable side effect of modern city life. Strange turnarounds unfold. People who once clocked in, paid tax, and chatted about ball games are now labeled problems. Blocks once hailed as civic pride become off-limits. Dreamers who trusted the American promise must now fight daylight hunger and pray they will wake up tomorrow. Pennsylvania carried hopes for 300 years. Immigrants, citizens whose roots go deep, and native communities shaped steel, railroads, and college towns with sweat and imagination. Now the same land shows cracks no one expected. If such a place struggles, what fate waits for regions with fewer dollars in reserve? While many pin hopes on distant government action, relief may not reach the ground in time. Before another neighborhood tips into the dark, ordinary residents must look inward and ask what can be done right now. The hardest scene is not only tense against brick walls. It is the uneasy balance of 2 parallel worlds living one thin fence apart. On one side stand men and women with no roof. They string tarps between trees, light a small flame each night, and hope no storm hits. On the other side, parents tell children to keep windows closed and backpacks tight. Their hearts race at random bangs in the alley. Many housed residents admit, "I know they did not choose this life, yet we did not choose to raise kids near constant risk." The unhoused wish for one kind look instead of eyes that skid past as though they are already gone. Each day offers them more distance, not hope. Fresh steel fences ring the playground. Bright signs warn against loitering. Without a single word, the message lands heavy. You do not belong. Heat, cold, and stench fill the air, yet the heaviest weight is hopelessness. Everyone feels trapped in slow time. The split between victim and observer blurs because both feel abandoned. One suffers raw need, the other silent dread, yet neither feels welcome in the place they must call home. If both the sheltered and the unsheltered carry the same surprise of being unwanted, what has home become? Still, not every light has gone out. Small shelters refuse to give up. Safe Harbor Shelter in the east of the state is one quiet beacon. It cannot lift the whole night sky. Yet for those who fall through every other gap, it proves that humanity can survive. Inside that converted church basement, volunteers stir giant pots of soup long before sunrise. Retired teachers slice bread, college students stack blankets, and drivers line up to shuttle people to appointments. The floor smells of soap and cinnamon because staff insist dignity begins with a shower and hot drink. Each guest signs a first name on a clipboard and circles 3 goals for the week. Some write find steady work. Others pick call my mother or simply sleep 8 hours without fear. Counselors paste every goal on a wall painted bright yellow, a daily reminder that small steps still matter. In the common room, a battered guitar passes from hand to hand. One evening, a man who once played county fairs coaxed a sweet melody, and for 5 minutes everyone hummed along. Laughter rose like smoke, and many wiped away sudden tears. Moments like that prove a life can start again. Yet even safe harbor groans under record numbers. Cots fill hallways. Medicine runs low. Phone lines ring nonstop, with parents begging for spots before a winter storm on the horizon. Staff push through fatigue, because quitting would mean letting the dark swallow even more neighbors. They keep a whiteboard near the door. When someone secures permanent housing, a volunteer draws a gold star next to that name. By year end, 50 stars glittered. That sounds small next to thousands still stranded, yet each one is a whole future reclaimed. These victories hint at a path ahead. Experts suggest mixed solutions, tiny home villages, expanded clinic hours, quicker rental vouchers, and above all respect. Real change grows when communities stop treating survival as a crime and start treating shelter as a right. Kensington's pain warns every American city. The story does not belong to one zip code. Rising rents and thin wages could tip any block into crisis. That is why the choice stands before us all. We can watch hope drain from our streets, or we can build more beacons like Safe Harbor until no life falls through the cracks. The next time you walk past someone huddled in a doorway, remember the gold stars on that whiteboard. Remember a song shared in a crowded shelter. Remember that a roof is only the first step. Respect and patience complete the structure. If we hold on to those values, the lost land can live up to its real name once again, the keystone of hope. Step inside Safe Harbor, and you feel the shock at once. This little house has no bright sign and no glossy fundraising dinners. Yet it does what whole systems often miss. It stops people from breaking apart. From the street, it looks like an aging cottage. But for anyone chased from bus stations or bridges at 2 in the morning, it becomes another planet. Inside waits a clean cot, a steaming bowl of soup, and a greeting that treats each guest like a person, not a problem. Safe Harbor reaches further than a roof. Volunteers team up with clinics to mend injuries, lawyers to replace lost papers, and mentors who help with job forms and rental searches. They know a bed is only step one. A hand that lifts makes the real difference. Still, the math is brutal. Only a few dozen bunks stand ready while thousands sleep outside. During bitter nights, the wait list curls through the door. Staff must turn away shivering elders, expectant mothers, and veterans carrying hidden scars. Money thins out, costs climb, and fatigue gnaws at every shift. Some workers almost walked away, yet they stayed, not for pay, not for praise, but because they know that without places like this, the city would hold no safety net at all. These quiet rooms prove compassion still glows in tiny corners of the map. If such sparks fade, what remains? A nation that forgets the builders who once poured steel and sweat into its streets. An America where you can labor an entire life, yet freeze alone because no eye notices. Those of us with warm beds must dare to look at Safe Harbor and ask a hard question. If tomorrow we fall, who will reach for us? If no one speaks, maybe our voices must rise first. Pennsylvania once promised new starts for anyone willing to pick up a hammer. Now many leave empty-handed, not for lack of grit, but because the frame holding society together has cracked. Hard work no longer guarantees steady rent. Rising streets of tents signal more than a dip in the economy. They reveal a society drifting off course. Each year the homeless count climbs, wages lag behind rent, and families shelve the dream of ownership. Blaming personal choices alone hides the truth. This crisis grew from decades of policy drift, shrinking public homes, widening pay gaps, and frozen support programs. Pennsylvania is not alone, yet its fall stings because it once stood as a model of strength. If an industrial giant with tight communities can shake, the fault runs through the entire foundation. Real healing needs more than extra tents. Band-aids cover the wound, they do not clean it. The path forward must start with lasting homes people can afford, job training that pays, clinics for the mind as well as the body, and legal help that stops small fines from turning into eviction orders. Above all, the country needs a fresh surge of empathy, where neighbors see neighbors first as human beings,